Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Into the Infinite and I'm Charlie and I'm so excited that you're here. So today it's video day. Are you excited? I'm excited. So I am doing a video on creative divergence and explaining what it means. So I don't usually say what like that because I feel like it's very, I feel like I should have more mahogany furniture in order to justify saying what as in what. But here we go. So it is connected for me to neurodivergence. So it is connected very strongly to that. So I'm neurodivergent. I have ADHD and sensory processing things that, just have changed the way that I view the world from childhood onwards. And I would fall outside of neurotypicality. So neurotypicality is, I guess, the way that the world has constructed brain functioning, right? So I fall outside of that, which is an amazing thing. That's part of why I have this creative edge, and creative edge just meaning that I like to do this stuff and I love photography. And as part of all of that, I do experience synesthesia. That's a whole other video. I dislike talking about it though, because not because of the stigma around it, but because I feel like it's something that I'm very proud of having, but then at the same time, I feel like it can go into this weird, like, I'm special thing. And it really is, that can be really weird and egocentric and just not helpful at all, right? So coming back to this creative divergence though, so for me, it was really important to pull creativity into neurodivergence because there are so many things that the neurotypical world has insisted upon. Sorry, I got distracted. There's a hawk flying around. That's really cool. Anyways, neurodivergence has been twisted into neurotypicality by society. So society, neurotypicality has said to neurodivergent folks, you will behave in this way, you will do this, you will adhere to these standards. And it's kind of crappy if you think about it, because the things that make neurodivergent people such a wonderful presence on this planet is sometimes pushed down and pushed out, specifically through school when you're younger, all of that stuff. I'm not talking about that here though. But for me, talking about these things is helpful because it gives neurotypical people something that they can learn, right? Neurodivergent people have spent their entire lives learning how to be more neurotypical. So full stop, that's not what this is about. This is about passing that back to neurotypical folks and saying, hey, these are all skills that you can learn. So we'll get on that. Creative divergence for me is kind of connected to that, right? So it is NonLinear thinking. It's a gateway to wonder. It's accessing wonder. It's that awe, that sense of wow at the world, right? It is, so when I was in grad school, I was introduced to this concept by Donna Haraway in several classes, but it's called tentacularity. It's from the book Staying with the Trouble, Making Kin in the Cthulhu Scene, and I highly recommend reading the book. If you're into theory, if you're into environmental sciences, it is phenomenal. But tentacularity, excellent, excellent, excellent. And I was astonished by the concept showing up in theory in classes because it's how I would see things as being so connected, right? So it was such an interesting concept. And for me, tentacularity is the way that we're all connected, and there's just this branching out of things. And another theoretical thing that you could throw in, I guess, would be the rhizome as well. But the idea of nonlinear thinking is at the heart of creative divergence. Nonlinear thinking, nonlinear creativity. There's no point A and B. There's like point A, 1, A, 6, and then B, but it's never even that linear, right? So it's not like this. It's twisting and turning and all these different things, and it's wonderful. So creative divergence is really embracing that. So when you're doing something, in any creative endeavor, in making or stuff like that, or you are engaging in creative divergence when that is part of your process. So I coined the term. I hadn't seen it anywhere else. So if it is, I'm sorry, but my bad. But I put the term together while I was doing my residency at the Art Gallery of Mississauga, and I fell in love with the idea of it embracing so many different things and being something that you could teach others. Because I do think that neurodivergent people have skills that we can teach other people, but neurotypical worlds and neurotypicality in general would have you believe that neurodivergence is a deficit of some kind, which is just not true. So nonlinear thinking. It is also a sense of observing without absorbing. So creative divergence does not seek to understand. It is embracing the not knowing, which is such a juicy place to create from, right? It is so wonderful. It's fantastic. Oh, I love it so much. It's so good. Um, but there's also a non-judgmental aspect of it too, right? We don't know what something is for. And because I adhere to esoteric faith and belief. Many religious people do not, and that's okay. Maybe this isn't for you. So if that's the case, uh, you know, that's fine. But for me, the creative divergence comes into play with questions and questioning not just the nature of the universe in a big sense, but also just everyday things. If I didn't know what something was for, how would I make use of it in my day? How would I make with it? How would I create from it, right? So it is an observe, don't absorb approach, which is also something that people talk about. And I ascribe to this as well when looking at the present moment and energy and auras and how folks can sometimes project energies outwards, and it can affect you if you're not really careful or cautious. So strengthening aura, that kind of thing, all related to this as well, in my perception of it at the very least. And I think so. I wrote this down as a note as well, that it reframes aspects of the past so that you're better able to see it for what it is, right? So creative divergence is kind of a narrative rewriting of things to put you back in power in your life and to put you back in the driver's seat in a way that empowers you and reminds you that you are a creator. You are a creator. So that's fantastic, right? Because it's something outside of the present moment that relies on our mind to reconstruct it. And it's so we essentially replay these movies over and over and over again. And creative divergence for me is an invitation to really see what we need to hang on to and what we can just say, okay, that's, I've replayed that however many times and I don't need it. It's not necessary, and just let it go, right? Just let it go, let it move on. So creative divergence is so many different things. And yeah, so that's the other thing. It's connected to photopoetic encounter too. So I think that creative divergence is the moment where you pull out of what you think you should think about something or see about something, and it opens you up to a whole different encounter. A whole different way of seeing things and really being them, right? You can't necessarily, how do you be a butterfly? Well, you can't be a butterfly, with the, physiologically speaking. You can certainly try, but there's a way that you are able to embody the things about that, right? And for people who might be thinking, oh, well, there's a conversation about transness in there. There isn't. So just do this and take the criticism somewhere else. I say that only because some folks have reached out to me and talked about just transness and making videos as a trans person. So shitty people abound, but it's not our job to please them, right? So that's what you need to carry with you. And creative divergence is looking at even those situations from a whole higher level and saying, you know what is this here to teach me? What is this here to teach me? As opposed to going about it, because it doesn't work. We're at a place in the world where we're seeing that blast through, I'm right at all costs energy. It's not working. It's not working. And we know this. That's why so many people are pissed at the war right now that's going on in the Ukraine that Russia invaded. It's the I'm right at all costs attitude. That's one that we really have to give up. And that's probably its own video altogether. But I bring it into the creative divergence conversation because I think that people who are the most open and just being open in general to not knowing and to being curious about the world around you and the people in it, regardless of how right you think you are about something, that's creative divergence too. So you're doing it just by being open, right? And I for a long time, I held very tightly to the idea and not clinging to it, but it really freed me to think of it this way. And that, you can live happy or die right. And, people say too, like you can be happy or right, but not both. And I think that there's something really profound to be said for that, especially in the time that we're living in, where it's like, you can't just be, there's no nuance. And I mean, there's no nuance in war. Let's be real here. But what I'm talking about here is just some of the conversations that people have and just that like must be right. all the time at all costs. And just this sharp edge where it takes away from us recognizing the humanity in one another, those things are a big deal. So profound. So creative divergence encompasses all of these things. Think of creative divergence as like a fork in the road that you can envision, that you can experience, that you can embody. So it is a term, again, that I came up with while going through my own work and through the residency. And I think that it was very important for me to put that together as well, because I think that it kind of suggests an alternative way of viewing neurodivergence, right? People think that neurodivergence is real only when they are able to take power over others, but there's neurodivergence where we don't need you to take power over us to tell us what neurodivergence is, right? And I think that in some ways people believe that the only time that neurodivergence is really neurodivergence is when you are left with a deficit. But I found it to be one of the most important parts of my world. It's everything, and I love it. I love being neurodivergent. Like, it's such a beautiful part of me, and I know too that other folks who are neurodivergent can speak to the same thing. So creative divergence isn't just a way of looking at art and creativity and making. It's also a way of freeing yourself. It's a way of freeing yourself from these, I guess, discursive chains that people place on you and expectations that they, rain down on you. It's okay to just let them go. And, if creative divergence is the thing that helps you do that, excellent. Excellent, my friends. That is fantastic. So I am very grateful that you came back for another video. And so this is creative divergence. Ooh, words. Yeah, I took tea yesterday, and it is still every week. So I'm on about 4 months of tea. This is just a little side note, and my voice keeps getting deeper and deeper, and I love that. I shaved yesterday too, which is really exciting. I have like disorganized patches of hair on my face right now, and I just don't like how that looks. So clean shaven is the only way, my friends. I mean, not for everybody, but for me, yes. So sometimes I trip up on my words because there are times where I'm still trying to get used to the sound of my own voice, and I love that. That is not a bad thing at all. So yeah, there's some little bit of fumbling some days, and my voice keeps getting deeper, and I love it. But creative divergence, that's where it's at, my friends. So I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for your eyes and your time. And I hope that wherever this video finds you on the time-space continuum, yesterday, morning, noon, night, yesterday, I guess, today, whenever, that you are having the time of your life, despite the fact that the world feels like a dumpster fire. Take care of yourself, friends, and just remember that it's okay to connect and disconnect when you need to. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you on the next video.